back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with the always lovely and talented Andrea Kay.
Well, thank you.
And smiling Andrea Kay.
Always.
And she can go in from complete doldrums to here, lovely and talented, and she's just jumping up out of her chair.
Just shows how smart you are to know exactly what to say to me.
Yeah, well, I'm glad somebody thinks I'm smart. But and we have the incredible Urban Miaris with us again today.
Well, thank you. You know I'm going to open a donut shop and call it Andrea's?
Yeah.
So, you know that one left me speechless for some reason.
Yeah.
So that's a hard thing to do.
Well, I'll have a guaranteed customer.
Exactly, of course, and especially on Thursday and Friday nights, right,
Yes,
Urban?
You got it.
All right.
Love that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of goodies and all that, we have our first in-studio guest with us today. Welcome, Mr. Parker Pike.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And I have to introduce you as the one of the owners of the Village Mill Bread Company, correct?
We're very fortunate to be co-owners with my wife, Sandra. And it's been an interesting journey over the last 20 years.
Well, you have a very diverse background in what you and your wife do, and we're going to get into that too. But I want to make sure that we get to both the Village Mill as well as some of your nonprofit ventures. But tell us about Village Mill.
Started 20 years ago with my wife's dream of being in the food business. Interesting. She had a brother who visited her. She lived in Milwaukee, and the brother came out for a weekend, took the brother here in Milwaukee, beautifully, Miss God's country, and to 9 bakeries. He never saw the lake, never saw a park, never went to a museum, visited 9 bakeries. And after that session, she told him about everything they did right and everything they did wrong. So here was, and at dinner, he said, because she knew he was looking for a job. She was in the mortgage business at a time when it was collapsing. And she was moving to San Diego, and he said, maybe you should do this. And she said, what? Have a bakery. So it started with the brother's comment and kind of listening to her passion.
Interesting.
So she did a little bit of research, actually went to Paris.
That's more than a little bit of research.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
It's necessary, though, Perry.
Well, you've got to do that.
Right.
So she was in the basement of the Ritz Hotel where they have a baking school. So it's by the door where Diana left the last evening she was alive, and learned what not to do. All the fat, all the junk, all the butter, all the just the icky stuff that goes into. She said, I want to do high protein. I want to do chemical free, no preservatives, maybe a little bit of honey. And she did more research and found out about the health movement, if you will, and how there was strong interest in this, and bakeries like this were opening in different cities. There was only 1 or 2 in San Diego. She was moving back here where she had family, and boom, the rest was kind of history. Did a lot of shopping, looking at different locations, and we're very fortunate to be in the Carmel Valley area 20 years ago. She was the last retail space that was leased out by Donahue Schreiber, which owns 72 other shopping centers in the state of California.
Wow.
So they accepted her business plan. They listened to her passion, and it was also different because Mar Highlands has a lot of smaller, community-oriented restaurants,
far more boutique oriented.
Very, very much. So we matched their plan. So they didn't want a big national chain to be in there doing this, and so we fit their marketing also. So we were fortunate in being there.
It's great. The baking industry, especially when you started, was probably at its height, and it's gone downhill. The industry as a whole, the independents as well as the large bakers.
Correct. I think we're the last mom and pop single location bakery in the city.
It's just fascinating what you've done, and anybody out there who thinks they could open up a bake shop and all, it's more than making just bread. There's a business behind it.
We have talked to many people that said, well, we'd like to open a bakery, and we'll be in Claremont or in Vista or someplace, and we'll say, talk to my wife, okay? We'll tell you the truth.
Right.
Okay? Yeah. And you get a little bit of craziness, but it did 7 days a week and a little bit of, and we think part of our secret sauce is listening to the customer. Many of our best-selling breads are actually customer suggestions, including the rabbi's wife, Rabbi Kornberg's wife,
really,
Debbie, who suggested chocolate challah. And
I hadn't had the chocolate challah.
We didn't even know what challah was when we opened 20 years ago, and there was another rabbi that was before the cornbergs, said, I think you should know what challah is.
Yeah, especially braiding it on top. I remember doing that.
How much work it is to do it. Is that you crazy?
Well, now I'm fantasizing about making French toast with chocolate challah bread.
Yeah. But you're right. It's hand braided and hand done, and it's a lot of work. So we started doing 25 on Friday for the evening sabbat, and then people started telling us about cinnamon toast and French toast. I went, maybe we could sell it on Thursdays and Wednesdays too. Long story short, we now bake about 1,000 just for the weekend, and we do about 100 or so every single day for French toast and restaurants and things like that to use it.
See, I'm a genius. I thought of French toast with that because that is just absolutely perfect.
Well, Andrea,
oh my gosh,
you're the only one that I could expect to put the two words together. You know, the food items and the fantasy items.
Food is my fantasy.
I know.
Well, with the baking business, for our listeners out there, while you're sleeping, that's when the bakers are working.
That's correct. They come in at 11 o'clock at night. It takes about 6 hours to get the first batches ready, and there's several hundred loaves and hundreds of cinnamon rolls and muffins and things. So when we open at 6:45, it's there, it's fresh, it's warm, it's baked that night, literally for them.
I wish we had you a week ago. I had my nieces in. You met them. They were on the radio with us.
So sweet.
And Chloe, the younger one, her dream is to become a baker.
Oh,
so they're back in Oklahoma now.
We better talk to her.
Yeah, Parker's laughing at that idea.
Straighten her out, will you?
Yeah.
Now, when you guys originally started, though, did you have all the cinnamon rolls and all the other yummy items?
No.
How has your model progressed to include different items?
It was so small. In fact, we did round loaves because that's what the model was. There's a franchise organization called Great Harvest out of Montana, and that's what my wife saw in Milwaukee. It was round loaves, unsliced. That's what we made. We couldn't sell them. So literally the second week, we're out at a wholesale equipment place, and we're buying a slicer. And then we're buying these special pans so we can actually make loaves of long, normal-looking loaves and slicing them. And sales doubled because we actually had something people wanted. So, and then more of the feedback about, you should do pastry items and muffins. And we learn, the margin of those, and that's okay. The equipment we had could actually do it. We had great advice from some consultants. There's a wonderful bake supply company called Besco Food up in Vista. Listen to their experts. They provide the equipment for us. And so slowly grew and grew. So bread is maybe 50% of our business now. But the pastry items, we've got a gluten-free granola, we've got fresh crackers, we do biscotti, that's fresh, made that day. So it's made within a day or so or a few hours rather than weeks or months ago. And we can do that because there's no preservatives, and people buy it, consume it pretty much that same week or day.
Interesting. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD. Email me at Barry@CloseUpSanDiego.com, or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay, Urban Miaris, and our guest is Mr. Parker Pike from Village Mill Bread Company. So, Parker, tell us a little bit about you're also involved in the nonprofit world, correct?
Kicking and screaming, yes. I was the community relations director for the Union Tribune. I got all the beg and ask proposals from nonprofits. One year I got 1,700 proposals, basically asking for Helen Copley's money or the Union Tribune space and things like this. And I thought, this is crazy. I mean, there was no strategy behind it. There was nothing strategic behind that because the Union Tribune, as any media, is a business. So how could we help them be maybe more effective from the standpoint of both us, the Union Tribune, or a business? And I was also a board member of the American Marketing Association, and 18 years ago created a conference, which is now it's called the COS Conference. It's basically the largest partnership conference on the West Coast. And it's all about training companies and nonprofits to be more, sophisticated, maybe a little bit more strategic, but nonprofits giving what companies want, and companies actually, because of their employees, because of their customers,
teaching the nonprofit how to work with the for-profit world.
There you go.
Oh, that's amazing.
And because of my media background, part of our secret sauce was bringing media organizations to the table, understanding, because media has contacts, as you have contacts with businesses, everybody, from a megatrend wants to do better. There's a whole trend in local, not only local products, but also local giving back. So it was a blend of this, but again, kicking and screaming. I didn't realize how ineffective nonprofits were from the standpoint of appealing to organizations. So I also teach at UCSD, created the first cause marketing class in the country, and suddenly, that listening, that process, something's here, maybe we could do it better.
Yeah, well, I have a question for you. If you ran across somebody that said to you, "I'm interested in starting a nonprofit for whatever their motivation was," okay, somebody that's interested to get into a nonprofit, what's the first thing you tell them?
Research. Find out who else is already doing it. The last thing the community needs or the country needs is another nonprofit duplicating effort. Go to GuideStar. Go to the San Diego Foundation. Ask, find out, do your research. There's an enormous amount of duplication.
So it's really no different than the for-profit world.
Exactly.
You do your homework first.
It's just an IRS designation on where the profit after all the expenses, on where it goes or stays.
Right.
Some of these veteran organizations should have talked to you sooner.
Well,
Or taking your class.
Veteran organizations or organizations serving veterans and disabled vets, and they're all doing the same thing. It's just so frustrating to me.
We have people attending this, and there's typically 300 people or so, and it's mostly nonprofit leaders and executive directors, and they discover that, oh my gosh, you're doing primarily the same thing I'm doing. So our lesson is, collaborate. 2 + 2 = 7. How can we do a better job? So instead of serving, say, 200 vets, serve 600 with the same resources because you are collaborating, you're sharing databases, you're sharing ideas.
So how do you separate the egos?
Usually, and this is from the other side of the table, I've done a lot of focus groups with companies who have the same lament. It says, I'm giving you money, so follow the money. If I can't give enough to both of you, you guys need to decide who's going to be the chief, who's going to guide the sled here. And so sometimes there is this process of attrition and mergers, acquisitions, and just like in business, somebody's got to go.
Yeah.
But use the talent and the resources in the most effective way, but follow the money. So usually it's on their shoulders, okay, you guys figure out, you come back to me, but it's the corporation or the foundation making that suggestion.
Interesting. Well, we definitely need to get together after the show and sit down and talk about it, because we've had, about 50 or 60 nonprofits on the show?
Yeah.
And, I tell you, what I recognize out of most nonprofits is they have something that's tugging at their heartstrings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they go after. Some of them are very good at learning the 501c3 regulations and how to run the business, but most of them are they are trying to follow a dream without having a guideline or a pathway to go on.
Their passion gets in the way of a good business and organizational effectiveness and making decisions.
Yeah, and I have to pull Urban into this conversation because I've only known Urban for 20 years now, 25 years, and the one thing I have never heard Urban do in 25 years running a nonprofit that I've known him is ask for money.
Oh, whoa. I go to my wife. I say, Joanne, we need. I ask her. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a lesson: ask for money, get advice. Ask for advice, get money. The process of asking starts way before you actually present the ask or the dollars. Get advice, get coaching, understand what the corporation or the foundation actually needs. Help us be more effective. And it may not turn into money. It may be non-financial resources. So here's another mega trend. Companies have incredible resources and talent. Maybe they can help the organization, the nonprofit, in a variety of different ways.
And you do a lot of work in finding ways to match up the nonprofit world with the corporate world with the nonprofit world. Am I right?
Correct. And with universities like USD, National University with the new Stanford Nonprofit Center, part of it is about literally that matchmaking service. The Cause Conference Foundations sometimes will actually do that. They'll see all these proposals and they'll make the suggestion that, oh, you should talk to whoever it might be, and then suddenly light bulbs go off. San Diego Gas and Electric, they'll give a nonprofit $25,000 if you come in and ask individually. But together, if you just get another collaborator, the ante goes up to $50,000. So the organizations are smart, and they're putting their money where their ideas are and encouraging nonprofits to collaborate. So the system is getting much better, more effective, but it's about education, training, knowledge, all the normal food groups.
Great. Well, tell our listeners how they find out more about you. We may want to put out some information on Village Mill. Let's start out with Village Mill. How do they get in touch with you there?
Easy. Our website, villagemillbread.com. We have a new location. The shopping center loves what we do because of our positioning. We actually took over the old Radio Shack location in Mar Highlands. We're right off of Mar Heights Road.
A much-needed relocate. We won't get into that. But
Well, and the interesting thing is because we had a decision. Will we basically sell out? Or when we learn that the shopping center will build us a new bakery, because in the contract it said if we will move you, we will build out a new bakery for you. So we accepted that, and Donahue Schreiber came true with everything they said.
Great.
It cost them about $250,000.
Wow.
But new equipment, and so we're...
Fantastic. You got them hooked on the goods.
And
they were willing to do whatever to keep you. I love it.
You know the best thing about his location now?
Yeah.
He's right next door to the GameStop over there in Mar Highlands. So Mom brings their kids by there and says, Mom, let's go over to Village Mill.
Get some cookies and cinnamon rolls. Awesome.
Yep. So, that's like my old saying, it's better to be lucky than good, right?
Location.
Yeah.
And the information then on the nonprofit, how can you get a hold of you there or get information?
Through the San Diego Nonprofit Association's website, so they can just Google San Diego Nonprofit Association, or it's sdda.org, and there's great information there. The whole board is listed there. Emails are listed there.
Great.
So we're glad to follow up.
Well, I look forward to getting together with you after the show, bringing some of your message back, and keeping this communication line going.
Yeah. That's exciting.
Great.
Yay.
Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thank you, team.
This is Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD, or just find our page on Facebook. You can always email me at Barry@CloseUpSanDiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.